Hi, I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And I want to talk today about resolving angry outbursts. That's what came up for me today. And I wanted to talk about that because angry outbursts are really distressing to people because, you know, they can be fine. And next thing you know, they are freaking out and angry at everybody and lashing out. And this never makes us feel good. It really can eat away at our self-esteem, our self-confidence. And then we're like, what the heck? Why am I doing this? What's going on? And it can really harm our relationships, especially, your marriages, relationship with your children. This could be happening at work. Um, and it can really feel out of control because you're actually going into the part of the brain where you don't have control, and you really don't want to have to fall into that, which is one of the ways I really go after this to resolve this issue at the root. And why are you going over here into survival land and emotion world, where you don't get choices? That's what I'm curious about, because if we can figure that out, we can really resolve that. And um, but this is really this is a big deal, because what I help people do is really um, realize the vision they have for their life. And very few people do I know have the vision for their life of being angry and having angry outbursts. And this is what I'm talking about today, and what the plan I walk people through, so that you can see behind the curtains what's going on, how I'm able to get clients this results, and so that you can really see what you need moving forward, and maybe compare it with what you're doing, so that you can build from there or really get the support that you need. I know this works, and I know this works because we're working with your brain to heal itself. Let me put a caveat out there before we go any further, because I always am working to resolve the root issue of angry outbursts. And to be honest, there are some roots of angry outbursts I cannot help people with and that really need to be addressed. And one of those is vitamin and mineral deficiencies. If you have about this much nice and the rest is rage, could be trauma, could be anxiety, could be depression, could be all roads are leading to your survival system, which that is really what I'm going to talk about today. But it also could be a deficiency in some of your vitamins and minerals. I have been there. That's how I made that discovery. And so it's something that I am constantly talking to people about, because I want them to let's go. We're always like eliminating symptoms and trying things, intervening. And sometimes that intervening is a vitamin and mineral. Hopefully, people do that before they get to me. So that's why I'm sharing that with you now, because gosh, my vitamins and minerals, I was deficient in B6. And that was leading me to have a lot of intrusive thoughts. Once I started supplementing with that, I didn't need to use these interventions as much to deal with the intrusive thoughts, because they just went away. That's what we're looking for. When you get to the root of an issue, it goes away. You don't need that symptom anymore. So I definitely encourage you to talk to your doctor, hopefully a medicine, functional medicine doctor, okay, or a naturopath, or somebody like that who does more functional testing for vitamins, minerals. So, with that out of the way, that leads me back to what's going on in your brain, why this is happening. So, I'm going to give you a brief tour of your brain, and then I'll show you the what I do. So, um, we have your thinking center up here. That's where you get choices. If you have choices in your life, you're living from there. If you have options, that's what's going on there. You're living by your morals and your values. You're right up in here, hanging out. If you're relaxed and pretty calm and creative, you're hanging out over there. Back over here, you have your survival system. It's also called your limbic system, and that's where emotions are coming from. Your memories are stored. There's all sorts of stuff, goodies going back over there. But your survival system is is really concerned about safety, danger, safe, danger, safe, danger. It'll pretty much sit back and chill as long as things are safe. As soon as things are dangerous, and it makes that interpretation very, very fast, it goes into survival mode, where you will get fight, flight, freeze, or faint. Usually, angry outbursts come from fight mode, some form of fight, where you just all of a sudden just start snapping at people, or just angry, and you want to gorilla around your house and do that kind of thing. That is, and especially this is really frustrating if you've done a lot of talk therapy and you've watched this and you know this and you're aware when it's going on, but you don't have the ability to get out of this. This is really frustrating because you're like, "Ugh," but you're still doing the angry mode because once you get back there, you don't get out until that part of the brain believes you're safe. And so it's so much better not to go there than to get in there and then deal with we're not safe until we're safe. And then guess what? Your body does all kinds of wild things to communicate with your survival system. We're safe now. And most of those wild things have to do with your body because your survival system is listening to your body. And so your survival system doesn't care what you think. You can be like, hey, chill, dude, we're fine. And that part of the brain does not care. Once you start using the body, now it's listening. And so this is why some people, once they go into that survival mode and they're really mad, they'll go for a walk. That's a pretty good one. Or they will start eating ice cream and bonbons and chocolates and candies because they're using their body to send the message, we're safe. Can you stop survival mode, please? And their survival system will be like, oh, we're eating. Hmm, you don't eat and run from lions at the same time. I think we're fine. So it's starting to pick up those messages. Some people use drugs, alcohol for this, marijuana, and all sorts of things to calm down and come out of an angry state. And that's hard to have to do those things to come out of an angry state. And the more you go into angry outburst mode, the more you have to cope, the more you have to recover from these symptoms, and it's just taxing and draining and time consuming, and it's consuming on so many levels. Neurological, your vitamins and minerals, it's consuming those. Not the place you want to be. Okay. Restoring healthy brain function here really brings so much healing in. And so that's what I like to do. And I have a process for this, and I want to show you what that looks like. Okay, so here we go. And yeah, okay, I'm just gonna jump in here. Um, so first thing I do with clients is I get them equipped with powerful interventions. I make sure that we find the right match for them and get them trained in using that and going right away. I like to teach people in action and as we're working on symptoms and strategies. I'm not somebody who's going to sit and tell you about all the things. Like this is my space to run my mouth because in therapy sessions or in coaching sessions, I'm not talking, we're working your brain. So I get to talk every once in a while, but we're getting your brain to do the healing work. And it's so much better than anything I have to say that it's really, I try to stay out of there. Um, but when I am teaching people how to do this, we are teaching it on a real issue so that we are getting real results right away from the first session. And that way I can figure out how their brain works, how their connection with their subconscious mind works, their survival system, and all sorts of things that I train them on their own brain. Anyway, so that happens. So first we get equipped to go in here and do the work. Then what we're going to do is, and I have strategies for this that I walk them through, but what we want to do is we want to track these symptoms. We want to track angry outbursts. Where is it happening? When? Why? How? When we're tracking it, mostly we're looking for when. And so I have clients tell me when we're writing out when they're happening, and we're figuring out when was the last one. What's going on there. So once we've got timing when this is happening, is this something that happens in the morning, at night, during the day? Is it with a particular person? Is it we're looking for patterns and clues? Is it over a particular issue? Is it what's going on with it? And we're going to get as many clues as we can. Most of this from your prefront your conscious mind. Conscious mind has lots of details in there that we want to gather all of those things up. And once we have it, once we know where, now we're going to grab one and we're going to start tuning in. I had a client um, start working with me because she was having an angry outburst with her children. And she was like, this is not acceptable. Like, I don't even like myself. I can't believe I'm doing this. And this is not how I'm going to raise my kids. So we started working together. And And we found where she was having them, and so we worked on this one issue, and it ended up being okay. So let me go slow here. So we found one angry outburst that she was having, which is nice because you don't have to deal with every one of them. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about this in the back, in towards the end of this. Um, but when you just find one, it's so much less overwhelming than, oh my gosh, I have this whole angry outburst problem. I'm a monster, right? I mean, that's brains. We like to go there and dramatize this. But when we just focus in on one, it's so much easier to deal with. So we clear everything else out, and we've got this one angry outburst incident. And then what we're going to do is we tune in what's going on. And we want to get a lot of clarity about this, what is going on question with this angry outburst. And so there's many ways to do this, but what we're going to do is watch it. We're going to replay it like it was an event or like a movie, right? And as we're doing that, we're using interventions because we can combine the healing and the getting clarity at the same time. And then we're going to start asking questions that start pulling information about this angry outburst in this situation from four parts of you or whoever, from four parts of us, right? We're going to ask questions that will get the subconscious mind to tell us everything they know about this angry outburst. And the survival system, we want to know all about it. The body, tell us body, what's happening? Why is this happening here? What do you know about this? What's your issue? What's your perspective? And we also want to know what's going on with the conscious mind. So, and we'll use the function, how the conscious mind heals as to tell us what's going on here too. So once we get all that information up, which we're using an intervention at the same time. I don't know if I said which interventions, but I like to train people in emotional freedom techniques, thought field therapy, no, energy medicine, and EMDR. So whichever one's the right match for them, we're going to go with that and get them loaded. And I will keep teaching them interventions the whole time. I even keep teaching my graduates. Like I have not come to the end of the interventions in my bag of tricks. So, but I will keep teaching that along the way. But the biggest deal is they just need enough to eliminate each and every symptom that comes up that we are working on together from start to finish. And so sometimes just one will do it, and sometimes by the time they're done, they've learned three, and they can learn more when they graduate. Okay, um, so when we've got all that information pulled up, we've got your subconscious mind at the table. We've got, I think that there's in your brain somewhere, there's like this long table where all the power parties get together and discuss things and fight and argue and don't get along and throw fits and go away, uh, storm back to their area. And the interventions work to bring them together. Because many of their issues, like your survival system, is going to freak out if there's too much emotional pain. It's not going as long if there's emotional pain here, it's not happening. So the interventions work to release the emotional pain, which is called desensitizing. So, which is in this issue, we would desensitize what's going on there, so that you can just look at it without the pain. That makes your survival system happy, and your survival system gets to do that. Your subconscious mind has its own things it wants to do. It feels like it just wants to play. It wants to be part of it. It wants to tell some stories. It wants to bring stuff up from the back and add it in. And I know this too about this. And let me tell you it from my perspective, and I'll tell you this story, And so it really likes to participate. And then your body is participating with symptoms and with sensations. And so as does those sensations come up around this, then that's what we want to know as well. And we want to use these interventions to release that distress in the body so the body can say, okay, I got to speak my piece. I'm good. I don't need to have that clenching fist in your chest anymore. So that will go away from this issue. And so everybody at the table, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your conscious mind is thrilled because it just wants to pay attention to this stuff. It's just like, I want to look at this. I want to measure it. I want to see what it's doing. I want to look at it from this angle and from that angle. That's what your conscious mind wants to do. And these interventions help it to do that because your survival system's not, putting the kibosh on the party and bringing stuff back and saying, no, go back to the subconscious where we don't have to look at you. And it's allowing us to really pay attention, which is so everybody's happy. All four parts of you are getting what they want. And so this whole thing is healing and resolving. What I find here is that this issue right here, whatever is causing the angry outbursts, is very specific to each individual. And so in this one person's case, what was happening is that their kids were fighting, and all of a sudden, some big sensations were going on in her body, and then boom. And so it would be body, angry outburst. And so then I'm like, well, what's going on in the body right there? So we're asking some questions. And we took that sensation in our body and we learned as much as we could about it while using the interventions. And we ended up going back to an early memory in childhood. I can't remember which one we did, but I think it was like around 7 or 8. And we used the interventions to look through and resolve that issue. Where it's like, okay, body, hold on a second, we'll be right back. And we went to that event and we worked through it with the interventions. And so when we finished with that, and you're finished with working through a past memory when you can't really find any emotion about it, and the a lot of times we'll pick up some really hairy ugly beliefs about ourselves and that feel amazingly true, like, yes, I am unsafe, or I am the worst person in the world, or I'm unlovable, right? We'll find those in here. And you know that you're done with this when the brain is like, oh, that isn't accurate, that's not how it works. And so it just doesn't believe that's true anymore. And this there's a sense of being at peace with this. And we also know, because it will start shifting from being a memory to, you'll start having new thoughts about it. So that means it's starting to pass through your thinking center and your conscious center, and it's starting to go through the process of updating. And so when you can look back at that memory and you actually feel at peace with it, or resolved, or even positive about it, uh, that is really when you know that you're done with it. And so anyway, when we resolve that issue, come back to the body, how you doing now that we took care of that memory that was bothering you? And a lot of times this body sensation is either in half or it's totally gone. And so we're testing that. And if it's gone, we're done. But if it's halfway gone, that means there's still more root in there. And so we want to go in and tell us more. What else do you know, body? And so the body will tell us more, and whatever we're finding, we're using interventions on it, resolving it, and then we're coming back to check in with the body. How are you doing with that? Like tightness in your chest when you think about when we're in that angry moment. Are you still there? And when that's totally gone, and we might go back a couple times looking for root issues that are bothering the body and making this sensation in your chest. But when we come back to it and we can look through, we're in this moment and we're seeing that where it went body angry, all of a sudden that's not showing up there anymore. And what happens is that there's something about that situation. There was something about that situation with her children that was dangerous. And I believe, I've got like two different clients coming in at the same time, but so I can't tell you specifically there, um, but one of the things is that she was going to ruin her children forever, which is illogical, right? Your children fight with each other, you don't handle it properly, and you ruin their lives forever, right? But on the survival system, it's not a logical place, and that's enough to make it freak out and choose a survival mode instead of being present and resolving the issue, staying grounded, staying logical, staying present, and just resolving the issue that was coming up. So that's one of the things that was freaking her brain out. And once we resolved that, then we had her go ahead and plug it in. So we were finished with that session. And so her job was to go home, because kids fight, and run the program. Because when you resolve something, your whole brain reorganizes around it and updates your subconscious programming to match who you are. And both moms had beautiful things up in there. Had lots of like attachment parenting skills, and really great. One of them was really a great communicator, which when she went to angry outbursts, this part shuts down, you don't get to access all the good stuff in there. So then she's just yelling, but in truth, she's a phenomenal communicator. And so in the moments, they would have these situations with their kids, and they would be able to be present and use their talents and their gifts and their knowledge and their wisdom in those moments, which was just revitalizing for them, because they were just like, I'm not going to ruin my kids after all. I'm not a horrible, angry person. No, you were having a survival system, misinterpretation. It thought that this was really dangerous. But now that we've resolved the issues, and it's not, and it knows it's not, and so it's not freaking out like that on you anymore, sending you into angry outbursts. So what happens here, I'm going to talk about it again from a different way. So what happens with this issue? So, right, we're going to take an event with an angry outburst. And a lot of times it's happening so quickly that you really can't see the nuances in there. And it's all happening unconsciously. You're not conscious of what's really happening. And so when we slow it down, we're bringing it up from the unconscious and making it conscious. And that's really important, because your subconscious mind cannot resolve these issues. And even though it might not like them, it might realize, this isn't working out very well. It can't do anything. So its job is, it wants to try to bring things to the front. Sometimes it can't, for many reasons. And so when we focus on something and tune into it, we're using the thinking center's gifts and technology to bring it into the awareness and start tuning into it. And so when we bring it, I got my notes here, so I'm being clear. When we bring it to the front here, your brain can look at its own function, right? And it starts to tear it down, break it into a bunch of little pieces, and start rebuilding it and looking at it and analyzing it. And the next thing you know, that and what's really cool here is that it's like, brains do this with anything you focus on. If you focus on yourself in the mirror, it will tear you up and build you back up, maybe, if it gets that far. If it can run a smooth program, it will. But a lot of times it'll start looping in the negative, and then you're tearing yourself up over and over and over again for long amounts of time, right? But whatever you put this process on in your brain, it will do this with. And that's why we want to use the interventions to make this process smooth, effective, and healthy and functional. We don't want this process dysfunctioning, because we need it to heal you and help you grow and mature and keep advancing. And so, and what happens here, it's kind of like your brain gets an opportunity to look at itself and fix its own problems, because that's a problem. It's not accurate, and it can tell that it's not accurate. And so, but if it can't look at it, it can't tell that it's inaccurate. And so once it's able to do that, it's able to get its stuff together and be like, oh, look at us, and then it goes around the whole brain and gets hooked up. And then a new program is built that is more in alignment with who you actually are, because it's run through all parts of you, especially your gorgeous thinking center, prefrontal cortex, that's stored everything you've been reading about, everything you've been learning, all the trainings you've taken, everything. And so you really get your highest functioning when your brain can run everything from the back to the front and put it back. Anyway, so now we want to test the program. So we're going to go back and we're going to see how this person was responding to her children when they start fighting, right? And that's because we're plugging that program back in. And we're going to reassess. If it runs well, we're done with that one. If it still is glitchy, like this is better, because I would expect that part to get better, and usually it does. So if that's better, but there's another issue in there, well, we're going to pull it right back out, and we're going to go to the root of that one. Because what happens here when we go to the root, each root is connected to everything else in your brain. And so when you resolve one issue at the root, it creates change everywhere. And that is why I love going one by one by one. I don't feel any pressure. I don't feel any oh my gosh, we're not going to get it all. No, if we can get one to the root, we will create systematic change throughout every layer of your function. And that's really powerful. So it's worth doing each one really well, and doing each one as much as your brain will allow, because you get so many benefits out of resolving one. And it's almost like one resolves 8. Well, in the beginning, it's like resolving one resolves 2. and then you go from 2 to like 6. And then if you resolve the next one, you get to resolve 9. It starts accumulating and it starts really steamrolling, and you're making like greater and greater combinations because you've liberated stuff from the back, and now it's like every time you pull something up and resolve it, it gets to go back and connect with this whole amazing program you've been building and redoing. And so everything just elevates from there. And once that angry outburst is gone, now we're looking for where else are angry outbursts happening, and that's what we're after next. If there are none, or something else is more distressing, we'll jump over to that and we'll work on one symptom, the next symptom. And this way we can really work through so many symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress. And, this is really, I really use this process to help people really resolve most of their issues in 2 to 2 months, and then have a program to make sure that this is resolved in 2 to 6 months. So we get a lot done. And really, and the thing, when you have an angry outburst like that, it really derails your whole day, right? And really, I help people, fulfill and realize the vision they've had for their life. And that right there is a major time loss. It's a major energy suck. It's just a pit hole, and even though it's not directly related to their vision for their life, it is. And I wanted to say something about that. Well, I think of what I just want to add is that, just that resolving something like that, that doesn't seem to be like, double your business, or um, I don't know, buy your whatever your thing is that you really want to create in your life. Every one of these pieces matter, and we want to bring your whole life into alignment with that, so that it's smooth, so that you have that all parts of you are being able to move together. One party's not worried about this and one party's worried about that. We want to bring everything together, and your life is evidence of that. Your life is how your life is unfolding, how the vision for your life is unfolding, tells us how what your inner alignment looks like, what your inner teamwork looks like, and what issues are popping up. So when we do this with one issue like angry outbursts, and the whole thing reorganizes, and we look at it again, we can choose the next one and the next one and the next one until more and more obstacles are cleared out, and you're flowing. So that is really what I want to share tonight. If this is something that you want my help with to accomplish, then I have two opportunities to work with me. One is an intensive 8-week program that is a start to finish, end to end solution for eliminating symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, clearing unconscious blocks and limitations, and bringing all aspects of your life into alignment with the vision you have for your life. And that really is for women who have developed a moderate to high level of self-awareness, and also who are in a position to really go after bringing the vision for their life into reality. And um, and when I say that, let me see if I'm making sense with myself. My second opportunity is for people that it's less intensive, and it's for people that are just really experiencing so many symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, that they're really not able to put the whole picture together. And um, and this is the starter. This is let's clear out a bunch of symptoms, and then you will get free enough that you will be able to dive in and do the full program, and be fully trained in how to bring all of that stuff together and make that happen. So um, let's see. And so those are the opportunities I have, and I have linked to those in the about section here at the top. You can go to learn more about working with me. You can go to that not the website, and that will give you more details. You'll get a clear picture of what working with me would look like, what's involved, and the outcomes that you get, and including the investment involved, and yeah, and how to move forward. So you can look at that there, and then um, that's it for me, I think. And I don't see any questions, but yeah. It was wonderful talking with you all. Oh, guess what? I want to tell you this. I have a YouTube channel. I think that is so cool. Like I'm all techie now, and but I want you to know about that. You can look for me there on YouTube as well. Lots of videos, 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 and that's it. Talk to you later.